The Frozen North, episode 46, our top 5 game controllers.
Hello and welcome to episode number 46 of the Frozen North video game podcast. My name is JJ and I'm here with my two friends, Mark.
Howdy, y'all!
Dang it.
Wow.
He tried to do it without laughing.
He went, ha.
He tried, even with the warm-up.
Yeah.
And Brian.
Hey guys, Brian. Mark tried to do his quarterback impression. Hey, 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 oh, hey. But
Is that what quarterbacks do?
I was celebrating because I beat Brian in fantasy football.
you did.
Ooh.
My team.
Hey, I also beat Brian in fantasy football the week before.
We have something in common. That's
can
true.
Can I tell you, not only is my team name Me Team Poopy, but it's said like this. Me Team a Poopy! Because it's not very good this
But
year.
that
A
was
fun little factoid. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
That's the kind of stuff that people need to know at home.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm looking for 1 or 2, maybe 3 if I can get a lucky win this year. So it's going to be a bad year.
I'm looking to get a lucky win this year.
Yeah.
I'm 1-1 in both of my leagues. But we're not here to talk about fantasy football.
No.
We're here to talk about video games, story-focused video games, that is. Adventures, RPGs, you name it, we got it covered, unless you play a lot of Call of Duty. Or, as it's known in the Call of Duty world, COD Bro.
Codbra.
Chupacabra, bro.
Chupacabra, bro.
COD Bro. All right, so why don't we get started here? What you guys been playing?
I've been playing Destiny, which I think we're going to talk about this a little bit more. It's good in some ways and not so good in other ways.
It's incomplete.
It's very incomplete.
It's a solid game, but not a great game at the
right,
moment.
Yeah.
exactly. And I've also been playing a little bit of Diablo 3. I broke down and bought it.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, it's a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar to Destiny in a lot of ways.
Oh,
actually.
yeah. It is.
Brian?
I've been playing Destiny. Really enjoying it. But like we said, incomplete game. Okay. I think that's actually all I've really been playing. I think last week I finished up, before we got Destiny, we went to the midnight release. I beat a few games. The Last of Us playthrough I did. I ended up beating that. I had not played the DLC yet, though. I'm waiting. But it's going to be quite excellent once I get back into the swing of things. I believe I might be starting Suikoden 2 soon.
You better be.
Hopefully.
Well, I
looking
mean,
for a
obviously
reason
we got our
to,
contest that I'll be playing that game.
Better not be another Brian Empty Promise.
Well,
Just saying.
that's my shtick, guys.
That's not a good shtick to have.
But it's a shtick nonetheless.
Well, okay, I'll give you that.
All right.
That's a bad shtick to have.
That's what I just
that's what
said.
you're just
So is repeating people, Mark.
Oh! I was too busy savoring the taste of this beef jerky.
At least your priorities are in line.
Right.
That's right.
I have been also playing a little bit of Destiny, although I got to the to level 20, and which is the most you can get by just grinding, by killing stuff, at the moment at least. And then I didn't really feel like grinding repetitively to get gear and stuff, so I kind of I haven't been playing that much of at all. Beat Watch Dogs.
Nice.
Played a little bit of Suikoden 2.
You platinumed Watch Dogs.
I did not.
Oh.
No, there's 2 that I have to get still, and I tried to get them for a while, and I tried for maybe like 15, 20 minutes, and I was just like, I'm done with it. I'm done. I just don't care enough. And I just don't care about trophies. I
Brandon
really don't.
is rolling over in his not grave because he's not dead.
Well, if it was Xbox, it would probably be a little more to him, but I don't think he cares if it's PlayStation.
That's true.
It's just not. I just don't care about trophies at all. People tell me, they're like, "Oh, check out how many trophies I got." I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
I beat that game.
Yeah.
That's all. You know me. I'm a story guy. So
Right.
What's your gamer score, bro?
I don't have a gamer score. Well, actually, on my
Yes,
Xbox
you do.
360, it's like 900.
Nice. Mine's
So-
not very good either, so we won't go there.
Well, yeah, but there's a big difference. Actually, no, there's not. It's because neither one of us plays games on the Xbox 360. So,
Ouch.
Oh! Zing.
and I have also been playing Lightning Returns. Lightning Returns. I'm trying to finish up the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy. Told you guys a little bit earlier that I finally figured out what it is about lightning that bugs me, and I realized it's not even necessarily her. Basically, like I said, I was telling you guys about this before. When you look back and you think about who she's similar to, and I mean, I didn't even have to say it. Brian, you brought it up. Who she's similar to?
Cloud and Squall.
Exactly. When I love Final Fantasy VII, I love Final Fantasy VIII. When I take Cloud out and when I take Squall out and just put them by themselves, and that's it, then I'm like, ugh, ew, there's not much there. You know, I'm really not big on that.
Definitely.
But when I put them with the rest of the cast backs them up. They're like Mark said with Final Fantasy VI a while ago, that you feel like they're family, and that makes the whole cast seem like one complex character in my mind.
Absolutely.
I feel like and that's what I'm saying. I feel like you're right in that aspect. I feel like a lot of JRPGs, and this kind of brings it to light, all their characters are one-dimensional characters if taken out of their ensemble cast.
Exactly.
But when you put them in to a group, they become a fully fleshed out character. Like that group has all the intricacies of like a normal, characterization of something. So like,
100%.
Pull him out, it's like, he's really annoying alone. Put him in the group, the dynamics work well. So
yeah, because they each kind of like really round each other out and support each other. And it's, I mean, for lack of a better word, family. 13, I didn't feel that the characters had that great a chemistry. It just felt like each of the characters, like I like some of the characters from that game, don't get me wrong, but I feel like at the end of the game, you look back, and normally in a game you look back and you're like, oh man, we did so much together, we persevered through the hard times and like that. Half the game in 13 you spend separated. You don't even do much until the end when they're together, and then half the group hates each other anyways.
Right.
So it's like they just don't feel, they don't have that connection that these other games have. And I think I'm forced to look at Lightning as an individual without, her quote unquote family backing her up, because I just didn't feel that connection between all the characters. I'm not saying she's a bad character. I'm just saying that me personally, I just don't like her attitude, and I feel the same way about Squall and Cloud. But the fact that they have these other characters there to kind of make up for what they're lacking, I should say, and she doesn't seem to have that. Like, is there really a relationship between her and Saz at all in that game?
No, I mean,
there's not much. She's got Sarah, which obviously her sister, and there's some pushback with Snow. But beyond that, there's really not much. And that's arguable, right? But that's just how I saw it.
Those characters are just total melodrama, like brooding, like, oh my god, there's a rock over there. That rock is just in my way, and I can't handle this. And like, you know what I mean? Like alone, you're kind of like, oh man. But then you got that goofy character who's like, come on, it's just a rock. And it makes it funny because, like, oh man, my character's really brooding over a rock over there. And then, you know what I mean? So
I absolutely agree with you. There's sort of this dynamic where you can take something serious, and if you have a different character there, you can give contrast to it.
Correct.
It can be funny. It can be,
And that's the reason I like the Tales series so much, is because every single one of those games that I've played, at least so far, is like that. They all are. They function as a cohesive unit, like a family. And 13 just didn't feel that way. And now that I'm playing Lightning Returns, which, by the way, the mechanics and the battle and the way you set up your, I forget what the word is. I've only played like an hour or two into it, but there's an actual word for like the jobs that you make in there. It's actually very, very cool. I like the mechanics. I like the gameplay. Story is really just so far out there that it's so far over my head, and most of the time I'm going, what, huh? And Hope is like Navi from Ocarina of Time, but the game actually really isn't as bad as I thought, like that I was expecting and that I had heard. And it just really made me, like, now that I'm forced to look at Lightning, because she's the only character you play as, I'm forced to just look at her. That's kind of what made me realize, like, without anybody else there, this is exactly how I felt when playing 13. I didn't dislike the game. I just wasn't a big fan of her personality. And that's it. So that's kind of just what it comes down to. All right, so moving on. We have hit a milestone, folks. Milestone. You know why?
A kilometer stone?
Nope. A milestone. You know why?
What's that?
We got Brian hate mail.
oh
Oh!
Yes!
Brian hate mail.
Yes, legit hate
Stop
mail.
celebrating.
Someone-
You're ruining it for me.
I know,
No.
right? Seriously.
This is amazing. We should make this a segment. Guys, keep it coming. I love it.
So,
You haven't even heard.
I have heard it.
yes,
Oh.
I linked it to him.
Dang.
And it's flavorful.
I'm going to assume this guy's name is Mike because that's what's in his email address, along with some numbers and other letters and stuff. But Mike says, I hate Brian.
Thank you, Mike.
When he says rebut McIntyre something, it makes me want to cut my ears off and feed them to my dog so I can never get them reattached. Love the show, though.
Ah! Victory!
And then he gives his top 5 list, which is Suikoden 2. Awesome.
Nice.
Right at number 1. Heck yeah. See, you're in for a treat, Brian. KOTOR,
Whoa.
solid game.
Can't go wrong with that logic.
The Witcher.
Can't go wrong with the first one?
It just says The Witcher. I emailed him back and I was like, I haven't finished the first one yet.
I mean, it's
but
good.
I've heard the second one's amazing.
Don't let me poo-poo it. It's good. It's just the 2's way stronger than 1.
He might mean the series too. Either way, Final Fantasy VI as number 4, and I was stoked to see his number 5, Star Ocean: The Second Story. Told you, man, the best one of the series.
Not the third one?
No, not the third one.
That's Mark's favorite.
That's the only one I've
It's
played.
the only one he's played.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. second. Honestly, I think if you guys played the other games, you might like the third one a little more because they're all similar in their goofiness. But when you think of it as a whole, and you take out the fact that it's not real, it's actually.
Yeah.
I just I don't know that it may have been a mistake to make you guys play that one. I don't want to turn you off to the rest of the series.
No,
'cause
I have them both
it
for
is
PSP.
good.
I plan on playing them.
Okay.
But
The first and second one are very, very good. I haven't played the fourth one yet. So
I just want to personally thank Mike. I love hate mail. It's flavorful, and I want to rebut McIntyre you now. So good. But I'm not going to.
well, there's nothing you can rebut.
I really
on
can't because
He just says he hates when you say rebut McIntyre.
Right.
You can rebut it by saying, "Hey, Mike, rebut McIntyre." That's about it.
it's okay.
So thanks, Mike, for the email and for the kind words about the show. We appreciate it. And if you would like to send Brian hate mail, as always, you can email us at frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website at FN Gaming. We have a Facebook page at facebook.com/thefrozennorth. Our Twitter is at FN Podcast. We have a blog at frozennorthpodcast.blogspot.com. Please subscribe to and rate us on iTunes. And just tell us what you think. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, or be like Mike and be like Mike.
Yeah.
Send in Brian hate mail.
Heck yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Please do.
And you know what? I made an offer probably like 5 or 10 episodes ago now that if you send us hate mail for Brian, I'll give you a custom title on our forum. So, Mike, if you sign up on our forum,
Can we
got
call-
a custom title coming your way.
Can we just have them be the haters of Brian? Like that's just a group?
Well, no, they're all going to get custom. It wouldn't be custom if everyone that sent you hate
But that's
mail.
like but they could be like
We're just gonna have a forum of like Brian Hater number 1,
yeah,
Brian
like
Hater
yeah,
2, Brian
no,
Hater 3.
like the Legion of Brian haters. Like that's a sweet like group name. You can
I'm
give
sure.
them.
I'm sure Mark will give you some input as to what your custom forum title will be.
Yes.
It's not going to be permanent,
Right.
but like
right.
for a month or two, and then but it won't just be something we pick.
Right. Yeah.
We'll have some say.
You'll have some
Yeah.
say in it, definitely.
All right,
Rebut McIntyre.
moving on. Brian, what do we got for news?
News.
Is that what you have for news?
Yes. The first headline, obviously, big news. Microsoft and Minecraft have, Minecraft's Mahjong. Is it Mojang? Mahjong? I've never known how to pronounce that. Mojang.
I don't know.
Anyway, they have been bought for a whopping $2.5 billion. Holy crap! When I first saw that, I mean, I know Minecraft's wildly popular, but I couldn't help but think Microsoft maybe broke the bank on that for, wow, I was like $2.5 billion.
$2.5 billion.
I mean, I don't really have a good sense of Microsoft business, obviously.
Let me tell you about Mojang. I believe they have somewhere in the range of 50 employees.
Right. I knew Mojang was very small comparatively to the companies, and it felt like the evaluation of that company was maybe a little off the mark.
I mean, how much did they spend to buy Nokia last year?
Less than that.
No, it was more than that.
Was it more than 2.5?
It was probably less than 10 billion.
Gotcha.
And they got thousands of employees.
Right. But the other little bit of news to that is the founder left the company like right as they got bought. A lot of people speculate that it was, he knew the buyout. He kind of coaxed the buyout and knew it was coming. Then he decided to just part ways. Hope Microsoft knew he was parting ways before they bought the company. But I just want to try to ask Microsoft to go ahead and do the name change now to Minecraft. So yeah, Microsoft and Minecraft are now one. The next article is Final Fantasy 15 episode Duske demo included with Type O releases in 2015. Hey, I'm just reading.
That was just the most American way to say it. Now, I don't know how to say it in Japanese, but just like, episode Duske?
Duske, bruh. Final Fantasy Type O HD is coming to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 on March 17th, 2015 in North America and March 20th in Europe, according to a polled Game Informer report. A voucher code during that time will be allowing you to play the Final Fantasy 15 demo.
And the videos that they have out on this game so far? Phenomenal. Amazing. And
yeah.
I mean, you watched the battle earlier today, and you were like looking at the magic and stuff.
Oh, it's gorgeous, beyond gorgeous.
Incredible. So, yeah.
When I saw the demo of the battle system that JJ showed me, and then the extended trailer, it really made me think, man, this is a next-gen game. Like this.
Yeah, it was a really cool trailer.
This is a next-gen game. I know the next-gen games coming out right now have been very cross-platformy, so they're kind of pushing, like Destiny's very beautiful, but still looks pretty good on the old-gen consoles. This is the first game I saw that was like, whoa, okay. This is the power of a next-gen console, or I'm sorry, current-gen console. But I'm pretty excited. I'm not going to lie to you. Just the visuals alone got me stoked.
Yeah, you know what? When did Spirits Within come out? It looks better than Spirits Within. It's a video game.
That's
not a motion picture
right.
with a $100 million budget.
Yeah. Anyway, I am more than excited. And Type O also looks very, very fun. So we're going to have a lot of Final Fantasy next year, I feel like. A whole lot. Yeah, JJ is... The year 2015 is coming up all JJ. All right. Next bit of article is Destiny has become the world's fastest-selling new IP franchise. No surprise. I mean, they poured millions of dollars into that advertising market and everything. But good for Bungie. Anytime a new IP has record sales, I think it kind of loosens up the
willingness
back ends of some of the publisher companies out there to go out on a little bit of a limb.
Oh, we can make money on a new idea.
Correct. I like it when I see new ideas coming out and getting wildly successful, because companies do then see the, because honestly, and we had a long argument about business and everything, but a whole lot of business is risk and reward. And I think a lot of companies feel like new IPs are way too much risk to justify especially the budget for Destiny was $500 million roughly. So I'm glad to see it, and it's deserved. I mean, it's a great game. I think it's only going to grow as well. I just hope that they can.
I think your brother said it best. 10 years ago, this would have been Game of the Year.
Yes.
Right now, like I said, it's solid, but it does nothing great to define itself as any specific, standout game.
Exactly. It's still kind of sticking with the old school. We're wanting to see we're wanting to see a current gen game come out that is like, oh, this is what current gen is.
Final Fantasy 15.
Right. I mean, and that's got a lot of promise too, so I'm hoping it backs it up. But yeah, anyway, I'm excited that game did well, so maybe they'll loosen up and start pumping out more new IPs, because we need them. How many new iterations of the same games have been just churned out constantly?
Oh yeah, I'm glad they're still attempting to do this kind of stuff. That's great.
All right, and our last big bit of business. Actually, this was announced just but a few days ago.
I just want to say I called it. Now go ahead.
Okay. Square Enix unveils Shinra Technologies for the future of gaming, in which they will be drilling into our Earth and sucking up all of our precious Mako in an attempt to power one city of Midgar to fruition. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, that's what you have written.
That's not what I have written. That is what Shinra did in the game. This Shinra company is going to be focusing on the cloud and streaming. Basically, Mark talked about how the future of gaming will be
You don't own a console anymore.
Correct.
You just
You stream
connect to the internet and play play on a server farm in some other country.
Correct. That's what they are basically doing with this. To not go into a lot of tech specs, they're going to make it so, like, let's say you want to play the next big Skyrim game. Well, developers aren't going to have the limitations of, well, some people don't have computers to run this. They're going to have an almost unlimited amount of resources because it's all going to be run on that same system. That's going to be a $100,000 machine.
Yeah, scalable.
Exactly.
And you know what? If you're playing Minecraft, it's not going to run 100 processors.
Correct.
In sync.
Exactly. So it's basically what Mark said. They're going to unveil this part. There's a lot of hurdles on this, unfortunately. Mainly the biggest hurdle being ISPs. You have to have faster download and upload speeds in order for streaming to work effectively. It needs to be a 1-1 transition, because if you have any lag time, we all know when there's no 1-1, it's very, very, very frustrating. So
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about it. What about you guys? Think that's a good thing?
I think it's all right.
Think it's too soon?
What do you think? It's Square Enix coming out with a streaming service. Of
But
course I'm excited.
Well, I'm saying, do you think it's too soon? Because if it fails really bad, they're gonna
I
pull.
think it depends on when it comes out.
I don't think it, this idea isn't brand new.
No.
They've done OnLive. Sony's supposedly looking into a service just like this. I think there's going to be a lot of failed attempts or somewhat broken kind of working attempts at first. But I don't think people are going to be completely scared off of it with a few failures.
My fear is the Xbox One thing, where they try everything too soon.
Yeah.
And everybody's like rejects it wholeheartedly, and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess we'll just retract everything." That's kind of my fear, and my biggest fear right now is ISPs are not willing to fork over the juice for this yet. They aren't, not unless you have Google Fiber. So
and they won't be if they don't have to be.
Correct, exactly.
I mean,
so
all of them want to put bandwidth caps on everyone.
Absolutely.
So who knows?
And if you have a bandwidth cap on your ISP, streaming service will never work, or you'll be paying a fortune. So just a little FYI.
Cool.
That's news.
All right. Next up, we are actually, instead of a side quest this week, we are actually going to have Raul on the show. Brian, myself, and Mark had a chance to sit down with him, sort of, over Skype, and talk to him a little bit about his own show, what he's doing for us, and his top 5 games of all time. So, without further ado, let's head on over and talk to Raul. All right, and we are here with Mr. Raul Cruz. Raul, what's going on, man?
I am doing great. I'm here in LA. The weather changed, so it's a lot better. It's a lot cooler now.
Oh, that's good. I've been out there, I think, not to LA, but I've been to San Diego quite a few times, which is how far away? Couple hours?
An hour and a half.
An hour and a half?
Yeah, about an hour and a half. Wow, you're really good. Wow, that's awesome.
Well, that's only because last year I was in San Diego and we went up to Anaheim to go to Disneyland, so I knew
cool.
the drive.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. We are out here in the Midwest, and the weather, it sucks, to be honest. It's.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a better word for it. Well, first off, why don't we hop into it? You have been doing a few side quests for us, just kind of recording your stuff, sending it in. It's fantastic because one of my biggest things on the show is I have to edit everything, and I'm just like, oh gosh, editing, here we go again. Which at first I thought was fun, but after almost 50 episodes, I'm just like,
Becomes routine, yeah.
Work. Everything you sent in, though, I'm just like, roll it, cool, we're good to go.
Awesome.
Just out of curiosity, what sparked that? What made you decide to actually want to put your thoughts into recordings and send that in?
Well, after listening to a couple episodes of your podcast, and I'm a weekly listener and everything, and when I saw your post about, who wants to join us to do, this cool side quest project, I tend to have a ton of opinions, and I talk to all my friends. I probably talk too much about video games. And so I just told myself, why not just record these ideas and see who's willing to listen to them? So that's kind of how it started. And again, if you talk to any of my friends, they will tell you, he will not shut up about this topic. And yeah, I just started recording, and your project just aligns so much with that. And I have fun doing the side quests. It's awesome.
Heck yeah, man. And it shows for sure.
Yeah.
Let me just say real quick, you can never talk too much about video games.
Yeah,
I just want to put
very
that out there.
true.
That's how this podcast was
Although
born.
Brian tests that theory on
Yes.
a daily basis.
But if I could be at work all day and just be like, hey guys, can we talk about for a second the new technology coming out for this game? I would probably get weird looks, so I can't do it. So I have to, vent here on the podcast, and this is why I maybe ramble sometimes. So I appreciate you guys appreciating me appreciating video games.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and it is the same thing on my end. I could keep talking about it, and it's just, yeah, it's awesome knowing that there's some cool people that want to listen to that. So
Heck
yeah, it's great.
And after the initial one that you had sent in, which was on GoGo,
Yeah.
from Final Fantasy VI, which I came right to these guys and I was like, I knew somebody else liked him. Yes, and I got
Go's
stoked.
awesome, all right.
But I shortly thereafter found out that you actually have your own podcast as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the podcast was kind of an idea I had for a while. I'm a huge fan of podcasts, and I've been listening to the RPG cast from RP Gamer for a while, and then that's how I heard about your podcast. And so then at the time I didn't have too much time because I was teaching, and so then I had very little time to do any projects. And then I stopped teaching, and I had a ton of time, and that's how the podcast kind of started. And the original idea was to talk more about serious topics such as like sexism or misogyny in video games. But we had so much fun talking about the weekly news, we just decided to do both. And yeah, it just kept going from there. So a bunch of my friends, they were super interested. We're all gamers and huge nerds, and they want to be part of it. So we just started it, and it's been a blast so far. No complaints. 8 episodes in, and no complaints.
Heck yeah, yeah. I've loved listening to it. And your show is, shows I should say, does exactly like what I've talked about. It's the same reason I like Terra and Lightning's show so much. It's the same reason I like the video game show. When you hear people just talking about video games, there's a line where you get to, you're just listening to people just ramble on about random stuff, and then you have those people who have fun talking about their passion. And you can clearly see that with you guys, that you're all into it, you're all laughing, you're all having a great time. And that, I think that's just one of the big hooks that's there. And that's kind of what draws me in, at least. So what the two names are, Super Smart Gaming, and then what's the two separate titles that you have for each one?
Yeah, so the first one is the news one, and it's just, I think I just named it like episode 6, episode 7, and we talk about the news topics. And the other one's called Game Chat, and we have 4 of them. One the most recent one's a virtual reality one, and it was like this extended talk for the piece I did for the Frozen North. For this podcast, and I want to keep discussing that topic. So I'm like, that's so interesting. That's really crazy what's going on with all this technology and how our brain works. So yeah, check it out. It's interesting, I think. I don't know.
Cool. Yeah, no, absolutely. And if people want to give your show a listen, where can they go?
They could go on Podomatic, Super Smart Gaming. We're also on iTunes under Super Smart Gaming, and also we have a Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and a website. So we're all over the place. And funny thing, and Andrea was making fun of me for this because I saw that Ubisoft has a Snapchat. Do you guys know what Snapchat is?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I was trying to see how I could use that for the podcast, but I haven't found a good use for it. Because as far as I know, it's like used for other weird things, and I don't want to be part of that. So if you guys find a good use for Snapchat, please tell me, because I'm trying to utilize that for the podcast.
That's interesting. I haven't even thought of that, but I guess there could be some potential there, though. We'll have to look into it for sure.
That's all on you, JJ.
Yeah. I know you were going to say that. All right. So, well, I mean, like we do with every other guest that we have on the show, we like to talk about your top 5 favorite games of all time. So, I mean, you know how we do it, man. Let's get started. What's your number 5 favorite game of all time?
It is Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation 1. That is a phenomenal game, and I was never really like a stealth action fan, prior to that. And my younger brother is a huge Metal Gear fan, like a bigger fan than I am. And because of him, I started playing it, and I played it probably a good 4 years after its release. At the time when it was released, I was more into Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8, and 9. And I love it. I love it because it questions the soldier, this hero soldier motif. Most games that I play, such as Call of Duty or Gears of War, not so much Halo. Halo actually does a great job with their protagonists, but the heroes tend to be very one dimensional, right? They're very tough.
Yeah.
They're they don't question war, and I just love how Solid Snake questions war, and he even has a cool line where he goes, "Oh, there's no heroes or like heroines on the battlefield. If you die, that's it. There's no meaning to it." So he kind of questions the soldier idea and war, and doesn't just kind of go along with it. He's trying to go against it, but he knows that he has to finish this if he wants to keep on living. So wonderful storytelling, great voice acting, like the best I've heard so far, for the PlayStation 1. And I love the characters. I love, Psycho Mantis and Sniper Wolf and all those cool, weird characters that Hideo Kojima could come up with. Been a huge fan of the Metal Gear series now. I played 1, 2, 3. I'm playing 4, Ground Zeroes, and I am about to pass Purple Ops for the PSP.
Nice.
Very cool. Let me just tell you that Metal Gear Solid is a solid choice.
No,
That's a Brian joke right there.
I like it. I love that humor, and and it's funny because like so many people criticize. I mean, it is a very dramatic story, right? There are moments where so off the wall and dramatic. Yeah,
it's full of exposition. I think it's tons of exposition constantly, and that's Metal Gear Solid 4 to a T right there. So.
Oh yeah, an hour and a half cutscene.
Exactly.
Seriously?
Yeah, there is.
Wow.
You put the control you play for about an hour, and then you put the controller down for about an hour and a half. Watch a movie.
Just get it.
Yeah,
order a pizza, get a beer or something, and just wait it out.
It is. It's Metal Gear Solid 4 is criticized for a lot of exposition and cutscenes being
my gosh.
very long.
Not that I mind.
No, I loved it, but some people don't.
Yeah, and I even own the remake of Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes for the GameCube.
That's my favorite version, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that scene where Ocelot shoots Snake. Now, in the original PlayStation one, he just kind of jumps back. But in the GameCube one, he does a whole backflip.
Oh, and then cuts the ceiling and...
Yeah,
it's
very Matrix. Yeah, it's very Matrix-like. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I love Twin Snakes. That was my favorite version of 1.
Excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
And that game is so hard to find. I found it at a swap meet, and it was still like a good 30, 35 at a swap meet. So it's a rare game. Yeah,
absolutely.
Very cool.
All right.
Number 4. I am so excited that this is on your list because, man, the nostalgia is just kicking in right now with this sucker. Oh, man. What's your number 4?
It is GoldenEye, and please, if you have anything to say about this game, you guys could jump in. On if you've heard the Super Smart Gaming podcast, we're constantly jumping in. So if you have any cool things to say, jump in. But GoldenEye, it was the first shooter game I ever played, and I played it for the 64. And my brothers and I, we would just, get together like on Saturday, after we were done with our chores and just play for 4 hours until our mom kicked us out of the house because we were playing too many video games. But then, our friends from the building heard, oh, what, you have GoldenEye? I heard that's a great game. And it was just 6 to 7 of us just crammed in a small bedroom playing GoldenEye.
Absolutely.
I was telling the guys, we saw that on your list, and I was telling the guys here that when I was in junior high or high school, like we used to have after school GoldenEye parties, and we would the winner would have to play as Jaws, who's the bigger character, and no one could be Oddjob because he was such a cheap character because he was so small.
Yep.
I just remember that, like, no, you can't be Oddjob. He's just cheap.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was something special about cramming a bunch of people into a small basement and playing on a split screen 26-inch TV.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's what I loved about that game. That I love online gaming. Especially when now you could do all the game chat and all that.
Sure.
But you can match that. Having 7 people or 6 or 5 or even just 3 people in a room and just talking trash right to their face as you take them out in the game. Definitely. So yeah, I do miss that about video games. I had a Super Mario Kart 8 launch party, and it was like about 7 of us just playing Mario Kart 8, and that was a blast too.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of the cool things. Go for it. One of the cool things about GoldenEye, though, I think, is it was one of the first games, at least in my experience, that you didn't have to be a gamer to want to play it and to like it.
Right.
Like people see it, they see 3 people, 4 people playing, and they're like, "What's going on? Like, you want to jump in? Loser steps out. Do it." And then everybody gets addicted just like that. Whether they play games or anything like that, it takes them a couple of seconds, obviously, to get used to the controller,
right.
but. Man, I mean, it just seemed like no matter who you were, you loved watching it or you loved playing it. If there was a party, there was GoldenEye.
Yep. Oh, yeah. GoldenEye tournaments and Star Fox 64 tournaments, like the same day. We just go back and forth. It was
dude,
classic.
do not get me started on Star Fox, man. Okay. No, but what the cool thing about that team that designed and developed GoldenEye, most of them had never worked on a video game before. And the other cool thing is that they were about to scrap the multiplayer. It was like a last thought, like, oh yeah, should we have multiplayer? And they included that in there. But most of the team did not work on the game prior to working on that game.
Really?
So, yeah, I think that's why it's so intuitive to new players, because they were trying to figure out, okay, how if I need to understand this, because I need to know how to develop a game. But yeah, that was so cool.
Wow, that's crap. No, man, if they had scrapped the multiplayer on that,
We'd be talking about a whole different game.
Yeah, no joke.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Now, did
man.
you ever play Perfect Dark?
Of course, I played Perfect. I love Perfect
Yeah.
Dark.
Come on, Mark.
My brother and I, we recently replayed and passed that game about, I think, 3 years ago, and it was a 64 one because I know there's an HD one for the 360. Am I right on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't played that one, but is that one good?
That's pretty much the same. It almost looks exactly the same.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Then I'll check it out. I have a 360.
Interesting. All right, moving on. Number 3.
Okay.
I don't know if Mark's played this one.
I've never played this
I've-
one.
I
Actually.
actually have played this one.
Oh,
I have
so
not,
Brian,
I
this
have not
is-
beaten it, but I've played it.
This is one on my very short list of Zelda games I still have to play.
Great game.
Yeah.
Great game.
Okay. So what game are you on right now for
3.
the Zelda?
Oh.
Oh, I've played all of them except most of the handheld ones, and that's why this one's on there. I have not played. I've played Four Swords. I need to play like Minish Cap and on those, and then Link's Awakening is one that's been on my bucket list for a while.
Oh, okay, cool. Minish Cap is really good. I just passed it. I think maybe a couple of months back. I replayed and passed it, but Minish Cap, I like it a lot. I think
Yeah.
it's a well done one. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Link's Awakening. Yeah. This was the first Zelda game I ever played, and my mom bought me a Game Boy Pocket when it was released, and she said, "Oh, what game do you want?" And I had never heard about the Zelda series. Like we owned a Nintendo, but we never became hardcore gamers. Probably until the Super Nintendo. And my brother's like, "Oh yeah, I think that's a good game. I've heard it's good." And so I just played it, knowing nothing about it. Popped into my Game Boy Pocket, and I literally stayed up, till 2 a.m. sometimes playing that game. Where my mom was like, "Oh, you gotta go to bed," and I'd be like, "Okay," wait until she was asleep, then like turn on like my Game Boy Pocket. And I had those old, like I don't even know those old weird lights for the Game Boy Pocket in color that were they look like
Yes.
very bulky, yeah,
Absolutely.
with a magnifying glass.
Yes,
so,
that little
yeah.
screen that folded over the top of it, big magnifying. I remember those.
Yep. I think it was just called the Game Light.
Yeah, the game light.
Yeah. And the cool thing is that Andrea made me one of the characters, and there's one of my favorite characters in video games, is a chomp with a bow. And so when I cosplayed as Link last year and this year for Anime Expo, she made me the chomp with the bow, so I just carried that around.
That's funny.
And people were like, "That is so cool! Yeah, I remember that character. I never see that." So yeah, I'm a huge that is my number one Zelda game of all time.
Wow.
And it's just because it was the first one I played, and it introduced me to the Zelda series, and I just passed it, I think 2 weeks ago. I put it up on my Instagram. The final, little says thank you for playing or something like that.
Nice.
It's a great game, and I mean anybody who likes classic Zelda, that is classic Zelda right there in handheld form. Obviously, I love it's got the overworld and what.
Can you steal from the shopkeeper in any of the other Zelda games, or is it just this
No.
one?
Just this one, but it's
So
not
cool.
worth it. Yeah. Well, I say it's not worth it because I was trying to get the perfect ending. You can't die
Yeah.
once, and once you go back in there, he'll kill you. And so, yeah.
Oh no, it's not a good idea, but it's just cool that they let you do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if you could do it in any other Zelda game. I want to say no. I don't think you could do it in the Oracle Ages or Seasons ones. I have to double check that. But I want to say no.
Very cool.
Yeah, and the weird thing about that game is the strongest weapon is the boomerang. It's not the sword, it's the boomerang, because that's a trading sequence in that game.
Really?
And yeah, it's. I was like, yeah, I when I was replaying, I was thinking, what? That's true. It is the boomerang, and it could kill bosses in 3 hits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to remember that. Okay, so moving on. Number 2, I think out of the 3 of us, I'm the only one who's played this one,
It's
right?
on my list for sure on the 3DS though.
Yeah, great game. Great game.
Okay. So Fire Emblem Awakening is my number 2, and there's few games that make my top 5, list. And I always tell people it depends on what time you ask me when my top 5 games
Absolutely.
are. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
and this is the only modern game that made it on here because I had played the other Fire Emblems on the Game Boy Advance, and I played Path of Radiance for the GameCube, and I love that one as well. But somehow this one is just so well done. The voice acting, the soundtrack, the gameplay, and all these cool little features such as the critical hits, and their pictures will come up and they have a cool little voice that they do right before they'll do their criticals. So
Yep.
it's just such a well done game, and just Lucina. Lucina to me is one of my favorite game characters of all time because she's strong. She's persistent, but you can also sense a vulnerability to her and her fear. And I just thought she was such a well-rounded character. And all this is very Shakespearean, right? Like at first you think oh wait, spoiler alert, should I say that?
That's fine.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine. If it's your favorite game, you talk about it.
Yeah, so at first you think that she's a man because she has a mask on and she's pretend to be Prince Marth. And when that mask gets cut in half in that awesome scene, you just see, what? It's a woman. This is crazy. And then you find out that she is, the daughter of Crom, and it just adds to the awesomeness of that story. So I cannot say enough good things about her. And the only reason I'm buying Super Smash 4 is because of Lucina and Shulk.
Nice. Yeah, Shulk and Lucina.
What do you think of the way Shulk looks, just out of curiosity?
Dude, I saw, was it like on the last podcast or the one prior to that? I do think he looks stupid too. But I'll be lenient with it. I'll see, maybe in the game he might not look as weird from the movie scene. But yeah, I don't like how he looks. I think he looks too I don't know.
He just doesn't seem to look like, how I would picture him with better graphics. He looks like a kid version of himself in Xenoblade.
Yeah, it's very odd. Yeah, when I saw it, I know that's Shulk, but he looks weird. Why does he look weird to me? But yeah, I don't know.
We'll just have to wait and see. Game's not out yet, so. And either way, it's cool that they included him in there. So.
Wait, are all you three gonna buy Super Smash 4?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know now.
Did you try the demo?
I did. No single player mode, man. I really love the single player mode in the Wii version. I loved it. I wanted that back. Yeah. I'll probably still get it because Smashies is always fun to play with friends. But
I'm just gonna play their copies.
And that's what Andrea told me too. She's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna play yours" because she doesn't want to buy it. But yeah, that's cool.
Are you gonna get it on 3DS or Wii U?
Oh, both of them. I'm gonna get on both of them. Nintendo hasn't gotten all my money yet. I'm not completely in poverty, but they're working on it. I'll be there in probably like a couple years.
I hear you. Absolutely. No, I think I'm probably. I got the demo, and I gave Brian one of my codes, and I posted the other two on Twitter. Most responses I've ever gotten, which is funny. But I tried the demo on the 3DS, and man, my thumb was just so sore from using that control stick after one fight.
That's what made me really see the issues with that control stick, that game.
Maybe it'll be better on the new 3DS, unless I get a new used 3DS. Maybe then I'll get the used
3DS. You want to ask for the new 3DS.
Here we go.
Yeah.
What is that? The new?
No, the used new is not the new, because the used new.
Do you want the new
exactly?
Old?
Yeah. See, this is what you're doing, Nintendo. Thank you so much.
Fellas, you have to catch the end of the most recent episode, because I mentioned that. And to me, it's not confusing. I don't know why. I was thinking, I'm going to go into GameStop and go, give me the new 3DS. And that's, and I'll point to the box, and I hope they understand me. But yeah.
See, you shouldn't have to point to the box.
Yeah. No, it's not that, we're not confused.
Right.
We're not.
We will get the right one.
We're talking about, for people who aren't as informed, if you're a mom wanting to buy that new 3DS, you're going to go in, the GameStop employee is going to be like, do you want the new one or the...
It's so bad he can't even say it.
Or the old new one or the oldest new one.
Oh, man. Okay, well... I am gonna make sure that when that's released, I'm just gonna go around to Toys R Us and a bunch of other stores and just watch people. And if it's confusing, I'll report it and all that.
That's funny.
There you go. Okay, one last thing on Fire Emblem Awakening. One of the things that I love so much about it is with especially if you are somebody who loves getting characters and recruiting characters like me, this game has so much replayability with the relationships and having kids. And oh my gosh, there's so many characters you can get. Oh, I love that about it.
It's not 108, I think, right? It's not 108.
I don't think so. No,
good. So it's right. It's
not enough.
It's not. It's the perfect amount.
Brian.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about it, and I love the fact that this might make me sound like a baby, but I like the fact that you can turn off permadeath, which is really nice because I have played the old Fire Emblem games, and so I have suffered through having to restart each battle because I lost one character, and
same.
I'm just, oh man, I'm so glad I could just turn that off.
Yep, I didn't turn it off for mine, so I had every time one of my characters died, I had to replay that whole hour battle. So it was frustrating at times, but yeah, I don't know.
That's Fire Emblem though, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. It's
but great game nonetheless. All right, so your number ones, I should say.
Yes. So it was a tie between these two games. It's Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross because, well, let me go on Chrono Trigger first. I'm not going to give you the whole spiel about why it's a great game because I don't think I could add anything to what's already been said. But I kind of want to talk about why this game is important to me. I played it first when I was 12 years old, I think 11, 12 years old. And I was getting bullied a lot at school. And so then when I would come home, I would just turn on the Super and I want to forget about my day. It's kind of been weird and stressful. And so I really admire Chrono, and I want to be him. I'm like, oh, he's so cool, he's so strong, he could like beat up all these cool little monsters and all that fun stuff. And so then the game kind of came to me at this point in my life where I kind of needed inspiration, and just it's so well done, right? The characters are awesome. Chrono's like such an awesome protagonist. The soundtrack, I probably listen to a soundtrack maybe once a week, like the incompletion because I have it on my iPhone. And yeah, it's such a wonderful game. And cool thing is I actually cosplayed as Chrono for Anime Expo 2014.
Oh, nice.
And if you want to see those pictures, I have them on my Facebook. So just check those out under Anime Expo 2014. I'll make sure to Instagram it too for people that want to check it out. But I had the best time cosplaying as Chrono because so many old school gamers were like, oh my, that is Chrono, dude. Like, I never see that anymore. And I got so many cool pictures, a lot of great feedback.
And you didn't have to say a word.
Yeah, I wasn't authentic.
You just nod.
Because I'm a talker. There's no way. And I told him that, like, there's no way I'm going to, like, stop talking for, 10 hours. Yeah.
Jokes.
Good old Chrono. I'll tell you what, man, though, that game, I mean, Brian is the perfect example of why that game holds up so well. I mean, you hear him talk, and he talks about how he loves power, he loves good graphics, he loves new stuff that just looks and feels amazing.
Yeah,
he played this game for the first time this year.
Yeah,
and thought it was incredible.
By far, my favorite 2D RPG ever.
And that speaks volumes for something that came out. I mean, when did it come out? 92? 95?
However, I have not played Chrono Cross yet, but it's not 2D, so we don't have to worry about that.
Oh, okay.
The music.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to do some 20th anniversary thing, the same way I did for Final Fantasy 6 for Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to set something up where I could just Twitch the whole game, and yeah, it's such a wonderful game, and please check it out if you have not played it. I cannot say I bought the game 4 times. That's how much I like it. I have my Super Nintendo one, I have the PlayStation one, which I don't like because of the lag.
Yeah.
I have the DS one, and then I even bought it on the PSN, which is exactly the same as the PS1 one, and I didn't like it because I thought it was gonna be the Super Nintendo version. But anyway, yeah.
I have 3. I haven't bought it on the PSN now that I think about it, but I do have the physical copies of the others.
Yeah, same, and it's cool because like my younger brother and his girlfriend for my birthday and for Christmas they make me a cool little figure of each of the characters. So I want to have the whole collection eventually, but I have 4 of them so far. That's on my Instagram too. If you want to check that out, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So just out of curiosity, like there's a lot of people who look at Chrono Trigger and then look at Chrono Cross, and they really, I mean, I'm not going to say dislike Chrono Cross, but they feel it's such a departure from the original that they don't feel that it's necessarily even a quote unquote Chrono game because it is so different. Obviously it is, but like what makes it stand out so much that you would put it as a tie with Chrono Trigger?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I hated the game when it was released. My older brother bought it, and he goes, "Oh, check it out, it's a sequel," because he knew I was a huge fan of Chrono Trigger. As soon as I saw what it looked like, I go, "I hate this game. I'm not gonna play it." I didn't play it until 5 years after it was released, and I hated it for so long. I would just talk so much trash about the game, like it's not a Chrono Trigger game, it's dumb, it's this and that, and after I played it, I was convinced like this is on par with Chrono Trigger just because the storytelling is just so well done. The soundtrack is just as amazing, but it just links up these two different universes in such a great way, and you start to understand what happens at the end of Chrono Trigger and how that starts Chrono Cross. So it's such a great game, and anyone that says it's not the same, it's true. It's not the same, but that's what I like it. I wouldn't want the team to. Yeah, I wouldn't want the team to recreate Chrono Trigger because I could just play Chrono Trigger for that. I want them to do something new and just as great as exactly what they did. So it's wonderful.
And people say there's no ties between the two, but if you look for them, there clearly are. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a ton of ties because if you play the Chrono Trigger for the DS, they added another battle with Magus, and I'm not going to do any spoilers here, but it tells you how the Masamune was stolen, why he stole it, and how Chrono Cross started because of him. So there's they tied in everything with the DS version. So if you haven't played that one, I say play that one because they added so much to the story. It's pretty cool.
I'm gonna have to get the DS version of Chrono Cross.
Chrono Trigger.
Oh, Chrono Trigger. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Cross is only on PlayStation 1 and PSN, I believe.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, and cool thing, I'm actually working on my cosplay costume because I'm gonna be Surge for Anime Expo 2015.
Nice.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, so I'm working on that. I'll upload pictures of the progress.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right, solid choices, solid top 5, and some solid info.
I mean, I'll give you credit for that top 5, even though Mass Effect wasn't on there. You know what?
Oh.
I'm going to give you props for it anyway. So
Dude,
props.
I'm trying to get into Mass Effect. After I'm done with Xenoblade Chronicles, I told my friend, lend me this series because I have to apparently play it. Yeah.
Who, I don't remember his name, but somebody on your show is a really big Mass Effect fan, and he's been trying to tell you to play it too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's Greg.
That's right.
He's a huge Mass Effect. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, because I'm not big into the futuristic stuff. I mean, I like it, but I like my fantasy settings. But Mass Effect, man, you get into it, and it's pretty fantastic. It really is.
The best way I can describe it, and I think Mark and JJ both came away with it the same way. You'll drop like 40 hours into it, and you'll be like, "Wait, what?
Exactly.
This was a short game." And you look at your time, and you go, "Oh, I played for 40 hours."
Yeah, not at once.
No, I'm just like the time you spend with it, you realize you've just put in like 6 hours, and you're like, "What?"
Exactly. Like, it took me 40 hours to almost beat Star Ocean Till the End of Time.
Yep.
And that was a chore. And then I put
Until
in
you got to that great twist.
Oh, not twist. But with Mass Effect, it's like, man, it's already over.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I was gonna play the Star Ocean 3. I because I have part 1 and part 2, and I played them both. And I was about to play part 3 until I heard your review on it, and then I go, never mind.
Hey, bro.
Don't hold on.
I'll skip to 4.
I have to say though, that's why I wasn't too keen on spoiling it. Just because it was so ridiculous and it had been out for a while. I have to stress though, did you like 1 and 2?
I did.
If you like the gameplay and you like the characters, the Star Ocean 3 is very, very similar in that regard. Literally, the main thing, and I think these guys will both agree, the main thing that drew at least them away from it was that twist, and that was it.
That was the only reason why it was a crap.
Correct. The rest of the game was pretty solid. So, and I mean, I know because I still really enjoy it. That part it's just kind of a facepalm moment.
It just makes you slap your palm to your face and go, "Oh God."
But other than that, seriously, I can't urge you enough to give it a shot. So.
All right, then I'll have to try to check it out because I was about to shell out a good amount of money. I forgot how much it is on Amazon, or I saw it at Swap Meet, but it was all scratched up. But
it's pretty cheap on Amazon, I think, because I bought it for both of these guys. I think it was like maybe under $20.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can get it for cheap.
Yeah, it was pretty cheap.
Okay, I'll check it out then. All right. Oh wait, aren't you 3 playing Destiny?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Is it worth it?
That's a loaded question. Hold on.
Very loaded question.
It's going to be worth it, and getting in now, you'll get to see its potential. It's got nothing but potential on it. It's not a complete game. I'll be the first to admit that. I'm a big fan of Destiny. I think bigger probably than these two here.
Okay.
It's got insanely tight controls, and it's
Halo essentially.
It's Halo essentially. You'll notice right away though it's setting up for something bigger down the road. So
and you're going to want to get in while everybody else is playing it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely. Go ahead.
Because I was gonna get it for my 360 because I'm not gonna buy an Xbox One or PS4 until I'm gonna say a year at most.
Well, you can transfer your save over there to the new. You get a free upgrade to the new console version.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So it's definitely. I think it's worth it. Just to at least get a taste of the story. There's a lot more to come. Bungie's even said that. So
hold on. To get a taste of the story, if you're willing to put in the work for it.
Correct. Well,
the way the story is presented, you play through the game, you'll get little tiny snippets of what's going on in the universe, and then you'll get like 5 or 6 of these what's called grimoire cards at the end of a mission, and it'll say, go to Bungie.com to look at this part.
Right.
And then you have to go to their website to read up on the rest of the story.
Pretty much.
Oh, wow.
And so I played through without looking at it, and the whole thing went over my head, and I honestly couldn't tell you heads or tails what happened in it. Brian went online and actually read the story and read the backgrounds and stuff, and he knows it head to toe now.
Right.
And he loves it. So if you're willing to put in that time to go look at the extra stuff, apparently it is worth it. I just didn't. I thought they should have had that integrated into the game itself.
Yep.
rather than being like, you just finished a mission. There's some really cool info that you can go here and look at.
Right.
And it's like,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah.
what? So it's definitely going to be a personal choice for everybody with this. What they want to do.
Well, I'm sure eventually they'll do something where they'll put all that information in the game, because I know also the team said the game it becomes different at hour 20. I remember reading that the article or something.
They're talking about in game level 20 is basically the level cap, and then there's a lot of there's a raid and there's strike playlists and stuff, but all that is gear grind. It's very Diablo-esque. I don't know if you like Diablo.
No, I've never played the series, but I
Okay.
read a lot about it. Yeah.
It's a dungeon grinder, so what that means is you're going to be replaying levels over again.
Have you played Borderlands?
I have not. I have not.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Destiny's definitely going to be a new experience then. It's a dungeon grinder to a T, only it's first-person shooter style. So when you hit level 20, you can do a bunch of PvP, and then you also basically get to go back and regrind strikes at your level, and gives you better gear.
It's a lot better if you have friends to play with, too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like Final Fantasy 14, right? You just kind of keep doing the same dungeon.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yep,
All right.
absolutely. It's a gear grind.
For sure.
Oh man. Okay. I'll consider it, just because I had to literally just cut off Final Fantasy 14 because I was getting too intense with it. And
It's the MMO bug, man. We've all been there.
Oh, it's horrible.
Okay. Well, I think that is. I mean, we're right at about a half hour, so that ran beautifully.
That's perfect.
Raul, do you have anything that you like? I know you mentioned your show before and where they can find it. Do you want to maybe throw any other plugs out there, or just plug that one more time or something?
Yeah, so you could check Super Smart Gaming Podcast. We're on Podomatic. We're also on iTunes. Make sure to follow us on Facebook under Super Smart Gaming, and you'll find all the rest of the info there on Instagram, Twitter, and we have a YouTube channel under Super Smart Gaming. Greg just posted up a review on Kodelka, which is like a combination of, it's an RPG Resident Evil. It's a very interesting, weird PS1 game, so check that one out too. And I just want to say, you guys are awesome. You have no idea. When I was teaching, I had like a 2-hour drive, or maybe like a 2-hour bus ride or something sometimes, and I would just listen to your episodes, and I was like, man, these guys are pretty awesome. So you guys have a awesome podcast. I'm glad I could be part of it. So keep doing awesome work. So it's great.
Hey man, you honestly coming on has done nothing but made this show 1,000 times better.
Absolutely.
I mean, anytime we've got an email with your segment on there, the first thing I do is I'm like, Mark, have you listened to it yet? Oh my gosh, it's so good. Like, I feel terrible how bad our show is compared to how good this sounds.
Oh no, dude, your show is awesome. What are you talking about? It's a great show. And again, like my friends and I, we're constantly hearing it. And we're talking about it. We mentioned you on the last one because I know you guys were playing Destiny. But yeah, keep doing a great job.
Hey, we appreciate that, and we appreciate the time you're putting in. And I can't stress enough, go check out Raul's show, Super Smart Gaming. It's fantastic. It really is. And like I said, they have an absolute blast. You can tell because they're laughing and joking and having a good time and talking about what they love, which is exactly what podcasts should be.
They're true fellow gamers. What can we say?
Exactly.
All right. Cool.
All right. With that, man, we're going to go ahead and say goodbye to you. We appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk to us.
Cool. And then, Andrea, did you want to go like bye to the guys or something?
Bye, guys.
Later.
See you later.
Bye.
Later.
All
Keep
right,
on
thank you,
gaming.
Later, guys.
All right.
guys.
See ya. And we're back. Thank you very much, Raul, for that fantastic interview.
Some might even say Raul is cool.
I would say that.
Yeah.
You are on fire today.
You know
with
what?
your jokes.
Just
That was a real pleasure talking to him.
Yeah, it really was.
yeah, it was.
His segments are always so good.
Yep. And his I'm telling you, like, I'm not joking about his show. It really is. It's worth a listen. So, Super Smart Gaming, go check it out for sure. All right, Twitter contest, guys.
Oh no,
Mark's seen.
We got a handful of entries.
I know who I don't want to draw.
You can hear that I'm shaking the box with the entries in it.
And you can hear Mark shaking.
I'm gonna pull an entry out, hand it to Brian, and Brian's gonna read the winner.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, I hold your fate in my hands.
You just read a different name if the certain name comes up.
Okay. Or I can read the name you don't want, even though.
You better not. I'm going to demand
That
to
would
see
be
it.
funny. I'm gonna demand to see it.
Okay, we have the winner in my hands.
Oh, gosh.
Hold on, let me do the review.
Oh gosh.
Dun,
Do it.
dun, 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 dun.
Don't rip it.
We've got Alex W.
At Gus was here.
All right.
You are the winner.
Sounds good. So, Alex, what you need to do is shoot us an email at frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com and tell us what game you would like, and we will get it for you. And like I said, just make sure it's $40 or less and obtainable, and we'll find a way to get it to you. We'll kind of talk to you about it, and we'll get it for ourselves. Try to beat it in, depending on what game it is, the allotted time. And if anybody doesn't finish it in that allotted time, they got to throw on a dress, and that picture is going up on the site.
Alex, I have heard Xenogears is fantastic.
It is. It's a
Don't
great
pick
game.
Xenogears
I've
because
heard-
these two have already played it. You should.
But I mean, for
one
your
that
purposes,
we all
it
might
is
have trouble.
so good.
If we all have trouble, we might all three be in dresses. So pick a game.
And it's got to be beatable, too.
Pick
Yeah.
Football Manager.
So,
2014.
right. Alex, congratulations. And, we'll shoot us an email. FrozenNorthPodcast@gmail.com. Cool. All right, moving on. We got our top 5 for the week. We are doing top 5 game controllers. This is, people might not think this is an important list. I beg to differ. I think the variety that we have in game controllers from console to console is really, really impressive to look at and think, especially when you get used to a new one and then you go back to an old one and it's like riding a bike.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I could play a PlayStation controller all day long, still go back to a Super Nintendo and remember where the buttons are. I just think that's cool. And, lots of good memories.
Yeah, absolutely. My number 1 is the Kinect.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Did I change my list?
Yes. Oh, boy. All right. So, I'm going to start us off today.
Yeah, you should start. Hey, wait. I think you should start us off.
Thank you.
Okay.
Actually,
I'll
no,
do
wait,
that.
hold on. I think you should start us off.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Brian's idea.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Here we go. So, my number 5 is the Xbox 360 controller.
Solid choice.
JJ, you're not an Xbox fan. Well, I am in a certain way. I do like a handful of their games. You can't deny how good the 360 controller is, though, even if you're not an Xbox fan. If you've ever held one, it's super comfortable. It is leagues better than the original Xbox controller, which was like holding a Frisbee.
Well, you didn't like the hamburger controller?
No, I did not. You did?
No.
Exactly. The 360 is a fantastic controller. Honestly, the main reason that it's not higher up on my list, because it really is great, is because I wish they would have just left the letters off of there or put like symbols or something else, because when the screen tells me to press A, I'm still like Super Nintendo mode, so I think A is over on the right when it's actually on the bottom, and that's where I get thrown off. And so the quick time events that I run into, I screw them up all the time on that system because I always forget where the buttons are. I've gotten better at it now that I've played, especially with Dragon Ball. And that's a personal gripe. That's just a stupid thing on my part, and I totally, wholeheartedly understand that. That's the only thing keeping it from being higher up on my list. Other than that, I think it's a great controller. It's comfortable and it's intuitive and good stuff. So, number 5,
Absolutely.
360.
My number 5. This is Brian, by the way.
Are you sure?
Yeah, my number 5, and this might draw up some controversy, is the Nintendo 64 controller. Correct me if I'm
I don't
wrong.
think it's bad.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, I know they weren't technically there weren't 2 analog sticks, but they did have those C buttons. That was
Yeah.
I mean, like the first kind of iteration of dual control. Because I don't
The first
think
10% of games that came out, I don't even think even used the C stick.
Yeah. So I mean, that was a cool, like one of the first cool, like playing a first-person shooter. Finally, you could strafe and look up or look down.
true.
I mean,
That's
I know
true.
it was, and I can't remember when the DualShock for the PlayStation 1 came out with the dual analog sticks, but I don't know if it was before or after the N64. So I'm just kind of spitballing here. But I had many a nights.
Well, must have been after, right?
I think it was after.
Because that was the standard N64 controller.
Correct.
So that's what I'm thinking, and that started the dual analog craze that we all.
You know, it was a good controller. It took getting used to.
It
though.
did.
Like,
Well, I
you
mean-
look at that controller for the first time,
Right.
you're like, I don't know how,
I have
how I'm
no,
supposed to.
I have a funny memory about that actually. I remember the first time I ever saw an N64, and I saw a Dreamcast right next to it. Actually, I was in Best Buy, and they had it on display, and they had the Nintendo 64 with the Dreamcast right next to it, and they had Super Mario 64 on one and Nights into Dreams on the next one. If anybody remembers that game,
Yep.
where you like fly around in full, 3D environments and stuff. I hop on the Nintendo 64. And I had no idea how to hold the controller.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what the control stick was for. So I'm sitting there using the crosshair, the up, down, left, right thing. And if you've ever played Mario 64, you know all that does is switches your camera around.
You're like, what is
so I'm
going
like,
on?
Mario, move! Come on! What are you doing? This is the stupidest system I've ever played.
Yeah.
And I'm going like ballistic on this thing, and I'm like, this is so dumb. Hop over to the Dreamcast, and I'm like, oh man, this game's so cool. This is great. Oh, I'm skipping Nintendo this time. Totally done with it. Finished. Blah blah blah. Said I was getting a Dreamcast. I mean, I was young at the time, so I didn't have any money.
Right.
But my cousin got a 64, like, about 3 or 4 months later, and he showed me, this is how you control Mario. And I felt so dumb, and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I liked best about it was games that you utilized the joystick. You had a comfortable. I mean, your hands were a little closer, but you still had a comfortable grip with both. And then if games you had to use the D-pad, you still had a comfortable grip.
Yep.
Because it had the the handles on both sides.
Would you say it was comfortable because it was slightly asymmetric?
No, I'm talking about. I know what you're trying to get at, but I'm talking about the handle part.
You don't know what I'm getting at.
No, I do. You're trying to say that the Xbox 360's controller is better because of asymmetric as opposed to symmetric
Yes.
dual stick. And
That is absolutely right.
my number one will rebut you really McIntyrely.
I don't think you should.
What? Don't say that kind of
No,
stuff. You're going to get Mike all worked up.
I know, that's the whole point. You send me hate mail and I do the things you hate because that's what I do.
All right. Mark, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is the PlayStation 2 DualShock 2 controller.
Excellent controller.
Why did I pick this one over the original DualShock? Because it was the console standard. It was what came with it. The joysticks were also tightened up quite a bit
Yeah.
on the original one, and it's just better. It looks better. Every game was able to use it, and man, DualShock 2 joysticks.
Yeah. Good stuff.
That was crazy. That was
Honestly, though, the PlayStation controller until the 4 hasn't really changed a whole lot.
true.
They added.
It almost changed.
It did. It did.
We almost got a banana.
I know, but
Yeah.
if you think about it,
Boomerang.
the
Yep.
boomerang controller. If you think about it, though, the difference between the original PlayStation 1 controller to all the way up to the DualShock 3, there's not a lot of aesthetic difference to
Agreed.
it.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah.
it's
The PS2, that was like the iconic controller of an entire generation.
I agree.
If you think of that generation, you're thinking of that controller and the way it felt in your hand. I mean, some people might say the Xbox controller, but no way.
no, not the
way.
mothership. Not the mothership.
Oh, man. All right. Very, very solid choice. PS2 for Mark. Moving on. Number 4 for me, GameCube. Honestly, like I think I like the GameCube controller for the same reasons Brian likes the Nintendo 64 controller. The only difference between the two, well, not the only difference, but the main difference between the two is you don't have to move your hands around on the GameCube controller in order to do everything that the N64 controller did. I like how it has everything just in that set. You put your hands one way and you're done. I hated having to like move my hands all over the place on the N64 one. Not that it was bad. It was just kind of annoying. Like, I got to play this game this way now. Okay, now I got to play it this way.
It was also kind of disorienting, though, the first time you saw it, after going from the PS2 controller where you're like, okay, I get this. This is well laid out
Yep.
and makes sense. And then all of a sudden there's these weird shaped buttons.
Yeah, that's one of the things, and that's why it's a little lower on my list, is because the button shapes are a little odd.
Yeah.
But I think as far as, and it probably comes from playing Smash Brothers so much and using this, because I give me a GameCube controller 1,000 times over on Smash Brothers before I throw in a Wiimote on there. I will not play Smash Brothers on a Wii remote. Oh no, it's terrible. Hey, if you like doing that, that's your thing.
Yeah.
You do what you got to do, but not my cup of tea. I think it's a really comfortable controller. I think it has everything right where it needs to be, and I love the GameCube controller, hands down. So that's my number 4. Brian, number 4, sir.
Number 4 for me is the Xbox 360 controller. I do
like the weight and the ergonomic feel to it. I do not like the asymmetric joysticks. For me, I don't feel as in control as I do on, say, the symmetrical
I've
joysticks.
noticed that as well.
That probably has a lot to do with just preference. I also play first-person shooters in vertical inverted mode, so I have weird brain, apparently.
Hey, high five.
Boom.
That inverted.
Yeah, that inverted. I don't know if that has something to do with it. I don't know, but
I actually heard an argument for why some people like it that way. It has to do with how you imagine your head. If you imagine controlling it from the front, obviously down is down, up is up. But if you're pulling it from the back of the head, if you pull back, you look up. If you push down, if you
That's a
push
good
forward,
point.
you look down.
I've heard that before. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. But yeah, that's why it's still a great controller. I love the weight and the feel. It's a heavy, sturdy controller. I got a lot of knocks on it though.
But it's not too heavy.
No, it's not. It's a very ergonomically comfortable controller, and that's all. Man, that's all I'll say about it. Yep.
Awesome. Mark, number 4, sir.
My number 4 is the Super Nintendo controller.
Excellent choice.
It's a fantastic choice.
Yes, it is. Well, you
This
picked it. I
is-
would hope you would think so.
Oh, well, of course I think so.
I don't know that I agree with myself.
Was this the first controller with the shoulder buttons?
I believe
think it was.
so.
Yeah.
I think it was. Nintendo, man.
Unless one of the more obscure systems
I
had
don't
it.
remember
I don't
any
know.
system having the shoulder buttons.
You know, it's almost like the predecessor to the DualShock controller in a way. It's got the conventional layout with the shoulder buttons. It makes sense. It's somewhat symmetrical. And that is just like the DualShock controller. That is the icon of an entire generation.
And the leap from regular
Generation.
generation.
That is an icon of a generation.
The leap from regular Nintendo to Super Nintendo. The difference between those two controllers is worlds apart.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Great choice. You and I have the same number 3.
Hey.
Actually, we do. It is the brand new PS4 controller.
The PS4, the DualShock 4.
PS4.
That PS4.
DualShock 4.
I love it. It's great. I would probably put it as my number 1 if it didn't have the options and the share buttons where they are. That's the only thing that bugs me on the thing, because when you're holding it and it feels so comfortable. It really does.
It really does.
It just fits right in your hands.
Yes.
Anytime, like, maybe it's just me because I have fat fingers, but I always end up, I'm trying to push options or I'm trying to push share, and I end up hitting
the
the
middle
center.
button, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah. It's a really good controller. Took everything that I liked about the old DualShock controllers and added a little bit of girth and a little bit of width to make it feel better in my Xbox-loving hands.
Yeah, I was telling Brian that earlier. Like, when you hold a PlayStation 3 controller, now that I'm playing Lightning Returns, I definitely noticed it after playing the PS4. The PS3 controller, it feels very similar, but the two ends that jut out that you hold on either side,
Yeah.
they don't, like, fit snugly in the palm of your hand.
Exactly.
It's like almost
because
like it's a little too small.
They get narrower the farther they go out,
Yeah.
so it almost like can slip out of your hands. Whereas I'm looking at one right now, the 4 gets larger
Yes,
as it comes
absolutely.
out. So
and it just
holds itself
fits,
right in there.
It fits right into your palm, and it's it's perfect. Just really, really snug. So Mark and I, number 3, PS4.
Hey guys, my number 3 is I mean it has PS1 down here, but it's the DualShock. I would say 1 through 3 because honestly, it's hard for me to feel a difference.
Agreed.
So the DualShock controller, other than the 4, which we'll keep out separate because that's later on my list, but DualShock 1 through 3, you guys pretty much said it. It's the first one that just had that. It was the standard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just knew how to control that controller because it was the most widely used, very comfortable. Like I said, symmetrical joysticks are really important for me. I don't know if it's how my brain works or what, but I liked how they tightened up the controllers, and I'll talk about that in the PS4 because they did that even further. But
And yet you put PS1 down on your
no, I
list.
put DualShock.
No, he put DualShock. I put PS1.
Yeah,
when I
I mean-
made the notes.
I meant DualShock
okay.
as in
Yeah.
DualShock iterations 1 through 3 because there's very little change to those. I think they widened them by like an inch.
Yeah.
But other than
They
that,
added pressure sensitivity
did,
in
yes.
the DualShock 2.
they sure did. But that's up there. The DualShock. I've always been a very big fan of PlayStation controller.
Okay. Number 2's. My number 2 is the PS2 controller. I got to let you hold one after we're done recording. I'll probably get one and let you hold on to it. It's very, very similar to the PS4 in that it's got the longer edges,
wider,
so it pops into your palm, which is again really nice. I love the PS2 controller, and I have so many awesome memories with that thing. It's just exactly, and I don't have to worry about the options button because the start and select buttons are right there. I don't care about the motion sensor. I don't care about the middle button. They're cool features, whatever. I don't need them on there. The big reason that the PlayStation controller hasn't changed much, like you guys said, is because it doesn't need to.
Exactly.
It's such a great design. It really, really is.
When they try to, people get upset with them.
Yeah. Boomerang.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that was in my personal opinion, the best iteration of the controller. Not by much, because they're obviously my number 3 is the PS4 right behind it. But they're so similar that it really is hard to pick which one. And honestly, no matter which one you're playing, it's going to be intuitive, it's going to be comfortable, and it's going to work. So that's my number 2, PS2 DualShock 2.
DualShock 2.
Brian.
Hey guys, my number 2 is the old sword and board, also known as the keyboard and mouse.
Number 2?
Yeah, well, and I'll explain why. A keyboard and mouse has probably the most, I guess, flexible applications for controlling.
Precise?
Yes. Obviously, you have better control, you have better aim. It's got better, in my opinion, it's got, you have your WASD control for your movement keys, and then you have like several buttons all in that same range of your fingers to control other like aspects, as whereas a controller is, it's limited because you have to remember you're playing mostly with your thumbs. Now they add the shoulder buttons, so you kind of have these two range of movements, but there's really no other use for your other fingers. I use my pinky playing computer games more than I think I do most of my other fingers, which because there's buttons that you can utilize.
Sometimes you need to crouch.
I feel like it's got the biggest flexible range to it. And again, it's definitely not one that you're going to jump right into and be more comfortable with. I'm a lifelong computer gamer, so that's why it's up there. But there was a controller recently came out that knocked it off its list. Stay tuned.
And we definitely haven't talked about it yet.
No way.
Yeah.
All right.
Mark.
My number 2 is, I wrote Xbox One controller, but I really mean, the Xbox S controller, the Xbox 360 controller, and the Xbox One controller, because they're all really pretty much the same.
Not the first one. I think the first one and the 360 are very different.
Well, they had
I'm talking about the S, right?
S.
I'm not talking about the big honking thing.
They did come out with the S.
Oh, I don't know what
It's
that
just
is.
a smaller version that they made.
The S is what the
I
Xbox
didn't even know that.
360 controller is during the... I remember playing
Oh, cool.
Halo 1, and everybody begged for the S controller.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't even know that they made that.
They
Cool.
did.
I
Very
read
cool.
somewhere they made it for the Japanese market because the big honking thing was just a joke for them. But yeah, that's where they kind of
I didn't
came up
even
with
know
that
that.
whole design.
Learned something
And it's just a great design. It feels perfectly sized in my hand. I always thought other controllers were a little bit too small, not enough to grab onto.
Mm-hmm.
So the size was perfect. The asymmetrical control, Brian doesn't agree with me, but I really like that asymmetrical control.
I think it's just
they
a
do
brain
very
thing.
different things. The two joysticks do different things, so
Right.
I don't want to associate them. And when it's off,
I think
center,
it's the same kind. Yeah, I think it's just a brain thing, how our brains work. Like,
Yeah.
it feels weird for me to be asymmetrical than it does to be right here.
Mm-hmm.
Just something.
And with the left thumbstick,
So your brain
I
is a little off center. Is that what you're saying?
No, my brain
No,
is
Mark's would be.
Yeah, Mark's is a little off.
Mark's is a little off
I'll
center.
take it.
His brain's a little asymmetrical.
Yeah,
Mine's a
but no,
little
with-
inverted.
His compartments and departments are a little messed up.
He's asymmetrically inverted. I'm symmetrically inverted.
perfect.
There we go.
But no, with the left hand on that joystick, you're not doing nearly as precise stuff as you are with
It's
the
movement.
with the right hand. You're just choosing what direction you want to move in.
Right.
Whereas with the other hand, you're choosing exactly where you want that reticle on the screen.
Right. That's your.
So you have more control because it's closer in for the right thumb, and then you just kind of move around with the left thumb. It's a little bit push further in the back of your mind.
Can I rebut McIntyre you that though?
I guess.
Okay.
You're not going to
Okay.
not do it if I say no.
No, I'm just saying. Thing about the symmetrical controllers, right? The only difference is they're taking the one that you don't really control with much and moving it in, so it still doesn't affect the one that's moved in for your precision. So you just said that the one that's moved out.
No, it doesn't affect physically, but it
Right.
affects how my brain processes
Gotcha.
that
Okay, so it's a
information.
brain thing. It's a brain thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So those brain compartments and brain
One
departments.
slight against the Xbox One version is, for some reason, they decided to change the names of the start and select button. They do the same thing. But
PS4
they have a
same
new,
thing.
They have a new
Yeah.
name for them.
Options and share.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know.
Just
I don't know.
weird.
2014, man.
Woo!
I don't know. I don't know why.
But there you have it.
I have not. That's the main reason I picked the Xbox 360. If they're as similar as you say, I may have picked the Xbox One. I have not actually gotten a chance to play it. So
Super similar. They do have impulse triggers, which means each trigger can vibrate independently of the other one.
That is cool.
interesting.
Which is cool for like a racing game where like your left tires go off the track and that side only will rumble. So you kind of know what's
Well, it's
going
good because
on.
that's like 40% of Microsoft games.
Yeah.
So he agrees, and he's like, "Yeah, wait."
Well, I
hey."
agreed until Brian rubbed it in.
Oh, oh man! All right. So my number one is the Super Nintendo controller.
Soups and Tins.
This is, like I said before, it was such a step up. I was so used to the original Nintendo controller. You got your A, B, select, start, up, down, left, right. That's it. They come out with the Super Nintendo, and you look at this thing, it's like, so many buttons.
Y and X, and then
What?
what are these?
But you had, right off the bat, you had uses for every single one of the buttons. It was intuitive. You knew what they did. You knew how to access them. You knew where to put your hands. It was just perfect when it came out. And just the fact that when you saw, obviously you look back on it now and it doesn't look complex by any means, especially compared to what we
basic,
have now.
right.
But when you looked at it, going again from Nintendo to that, it was so complex.
It was
when it
revolutionary.
came out. Absolutely, 100%, perfect word for it. And just that level of Nintendo's still trying to do it with what they come out with now, but they're not quite having the same effect. But one could argue that, I guess. But at the time, it was just so fantastic and just worked so well, and it still does everything that you need it to do. Like, there's no extra side thing. Like, you don't have two triggers on the back. You don't have all this extra stuff. It had everything it needed, and it did what it needed to do well. At the time, it was perfect. It really was. Are there better controllers? Yeah, probably. But at the same time, I think, again, just looking at the time period when it came out, it was just leagues ahead of anything else that was out at the time. And I still love, if I've got a Super Nintendo game that I want to play, I love using that old controller because it's great. So that's my number one, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System controller.
My number one is actually, I hated at first. Not hated, I was very weary of it. The PlayStation 4. I'm a long-time PlayStation 3 player, 2 player, 1 player, so I got a hold of this controller and I was like, oh man, I don't know. It really doesn't feel, I don't feel right, you know what I mean? Because you're playing a PlayStation game, and then I was playing The Last of Us. It was my first game I played on the PS4, and then something happened. I was like, whoa. I am literally able to aim 50 times better on this
50
controller.
times.
Like, it's a number. Just throwing it out there. 50% of the time, I aim 100% better.
It's a number.
It's a number. No, I could aim. Like, I remember playing The Last of Us.
I know what he means because I use the same thing. So
I remember playing The Last of Us on the PS3, and I was I didn't like shooting because I was wasting bullets. And then on this game, I breezed through it, just bam, bam, right in the head, right in the head, right in the head. And I was like, whoa. Now, a lot of that has to do with 60 frames per second. I get that. Having tight frame rates is another way to aim very accurately. But I've noticed that on the PS4 controller, the joysticks are a lot more weighty. On the PlayStation 3, if you get them, they're a lot more loose, which is a lot easier to overshoot or have less precision. The other thing I like that we didn't mention on the PS4 is the joystick controllers, or the trigger controllers. They're elongated outward. Very similar to the Xbox controller.
As they
on
should
the
be.
PS3, they are actually curled under a little bit, so it's less. It's actually less comfortable to pull those, and now it's just like bam, 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 bam. It's great. I have nothing but good things to say about the PS4 controller. It's my favorite controller.
you ever have any issues with the options and
I don't,
stuff?
not personally, no. So
You saying your fingers are tinier than mine?
I don't know. I
That
just
hurts.
don't ever.
That hurts.
I mean, at first,
Call me
like I said,
fat.
at first, I was like, "Whoa!" I remember looking like, "I don't know how to pause. I don't know." How
So
to
you heard
pause."
it here first. His favorite controller is the PS4 because I'm fat.
That's what I heard.
That makes sense.
That's, I
No,
mean,
cool. Thanks, Brian.
I only
Appreciate
mean
it.
that 50% of the time, and that's only 100% of the time. Do I mean that?
That's a number.
That's a number.
That's just a number. Mark, number one, sir.
My number one is the correct choice. Keyboard and mouse.
What a shocker.
What?
Man, keyboard and mouse.
Hey, let me ask you this, Mark.
What is What is good about the keyboard and mouse? I'll tell you what's good about the keyboard and mouse. You put your left hand on the keys.
You put your
got
left
that
hand
WASD, and you got that space bar for jumping and the control. Do you guys know how to use a keyboard?
Yep.
What is
All
keyboard?
right. So you got the keyboard, a lot of controls there, and then you've got a mouse. And I read an article like 10 years ago about why the mouse is better than the joystick for aiming, and I've tried to find it. Like once a year, I try and find it by doing Google searches, and I just can't. But here's how I remember it. With a mouse, when you move the reticle on the screen, you're moving it a set amount based on how far you move the mouse. When you're moving a reticle with a joystick, you're moving it based on how long you hold the joystick down. So that's position-based versus velocity-based.
Yeah.
And whereas you might overshoot a lot more with a joystick if you're not fast
Absolutely.
enough letting go, with a mouse, you feel the distance as you're moving it.
I think anybody who has played with a keyboard and mouse on a first-person shooter that's gotten used to it, not like 10 minutes, will tell you that it's leagues
Yeah,
better
there's really
than
no
a controller
arguing
for
that.
a first-person shooter.
I've heard people argue it.
There's
I know.
Really,
And like I said, I don't think those people have actually given the time to get
True.
used to it.
Yeah.
So, because I literally feel like, given the time to practice, if you've got two people who have played the same game for the same amount of time on both systems, the guy with the keyboard and mouse is going to win.
Absolutely.
So,
And case in point, when I first played Dishonored, I rented it for the Xbox, and I just felt like an idiot playing the game. Like I was sloppy. I was running into enemies. I couldn't aim, and then I got it on the.
that's
the
just you
PC.
and gaming in general.
Well,
That's got
whatever.
nothing to do with
Well,
Dishonored.
but what? And then I got it on the PC, and I felt like an expert.
Yeah.
I felt like I can control how much I move. I'm
Yep.
really good at aiming. It was just so much better.
I'll tell you why the main reason why it's the keyboard and mouse isn't on my list. It would be number 6 because it was on there at first.
Yep.
And then I was just like, I can't. These controllers are just too good. Obviously, my bread and butter is RPGs. I don't like playing RPGs with a keyboard and
I can
mouse.
see that.
I like being able to just sit back on my lazy boy and just with a controller in my hand and just as little effort as possible, just read through my text, listen to my dialogue, watch some cutscenes, and not have to be sitting in my computer chair back straight, moving around, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
I like the comfort of a controller.
That makes sense.
But as far as controlling and stuff, with a first-person shooter, give me a keyboard and mouse any day of the week.
Yeah.
Especially
So
with Skyrim.
For an RPG, definitely you want a joystick because you're moving the character around. It's not about aiming precisely. It's
Correct.
about moving in a 360-degree radius. Same thing for racing games. But
Yep.
for FPSs, it's got to be keyboard and mouse.
Amen. I agree 100%.
And RTS.
And RTS.
That
Yeah.
too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Keyboard and mouse is a must for RTSs. Except
Definitely.
Halo Wars did a good job of
Did an okay job.
of making that
Still
less-
would have been better on a
Oh yeah,
PC.
you're better on a PC.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, that's our top 5 gaming controllers. I'd like to thank Raul for taking the time to chat with us on this episode.
Raul,
He's giving you a fist pump.
I like his lazy.
I know, right?
Hey, Raul.
Raul.
Definitely go check out his show, Super Smart Gaming. Fantastic group of people over there, and we look forward to seeing what he does for us in the future with side quests. Do you guys have anything else?
I mean, not really.
That's a no.
I like and don't like Destiny.
We've already talked about
Destiny. Yay.
Yeah, woohoo!
that. There it is again. Don't put Raul on the same level as Destiny. Raul's so much better than
That's
Destiny.
true. That's very true.
All right, because Raul's not repetitive,
Yeah.
and Destiny is extremely repetitive.
And
all
Raul,
done.
It's good.
Raul,
It's a good game.
Raul has better loot than Destiny also.
Yes,
That's true.
In
Yep.
defense of Destiny, though, all dungeon grinders are repetitive.
True. Absolutely.
True.
It's the name of their game.
Nothing to add.
Nope. Nothing to add.
Nothing.
All right, with that, this is the Frozen North signing off. My name is JJ.
My name is Mark.
And my name is Brian.
Thank you once again for listening, and as always, keep on gaming.
Keep on gaming.
Keep on gaming.
Keep on gaming.
Keep on gaming. Keep on gaming. That just sounds like something else now.
Yes, it sounds like terrible noise. So you're right. Thank you very much again.
theme song was made available through the Creative Commons Attribution license by Ziphoid. The song title is Radical Fanfare.